Hello. This is Rod, Appraiser Broker, the Appraiser Broker channel on YouTube, and also Live Within Your Means. And my Live Within Your Means channel, trying to get that going with some things that are helpful. And we're going to look at a few things today. We're going to look at the town of Beque, Colorado. We're going to look at some property out there. We're also going to look at some other property in some other places. For example, in Salt Lake City, Utah. We're going to look at some property over in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado. And taking a look at a little bit of this, we're going to see what kind of taxes are people paying, and this can give us an idea uh, what the taxes really are on properties that are, let's say, around $350,000. And those taxes are property taxes are going to be based on what people, what services they have, and really how good government is managing their affairs. Why don't we start out, and we're going to take a look at a property in Salt Lake City. Now, this is a property 3381 South Honeycutt Road, Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm on the Utah foreclosure site. What I did is I searched for properties on the search here that were between $350,000 and $375,000 to make it easy on myself. I thought, okay, look at condos, and clicked on Salt Lake City, found two, clicked on those, and brought up these two condos, and both of these are priced. This one's right at $350,000, so I clicked on it. We can make a guess, and that's just a guess, that this property is probably going to be worth somewhere around what they've got it listed for. Maybe a little less because it's listed for 60. It's been listed for 64 days, and I don't know the sales history on, but the fact that it's been on the market for a couple of months and that they've got it listed at $350,000 tells me there's probably a realtor trying to get that sold, so he's going to list it somewhere around what he believes that it is worth. It's got, look at that, it's got a upper level, lower level, 2,200 square feet. It's got a couple of bedrooms on that upper level. It's got another bedroom on the lower level, and it's got a bathroom, and it looks like it's got a couple 3/4 baths, a couple of fireplaces. Nevertheless, we're going to look down here, and we see that the price was at $358. There we go. Some sales history, and a realtor talked to his people. They got smart and said, hey, we better lower that price. It's been on the market a couple of months. Let's see what we can do. And they've got it lowered down to $350,000. So we're going to hope it's in that price range. But let's look at a few things here. So yes, it's priced at $350,000. They dropped the price on the 16th of April, and the current price $350,000. But look at those taxes. That is $2,280 for taxes that it's assessed at, or the taxes that are assessed that are due for that property are going to be due later this year. That is almost $200 a month. Why would the taxes be what appears to a lot of people to be so high? Well, that's because it is in Salt Lake City, Utah. If we look at where that's located in Salt Lake City, let's see, it's on near 33rd South, above 20th East. It's in the Salt Lake area. Some people would say, well, that's not Salt Lake City. It's really in the Salt Lake area. Nevertheless, the closer you are to a metropolitan area, the more likely you are to be paying higher taxes for all the services that are available. If we look at that on a satellite view, we're over in this area here. It's maybe a 15-20 minute drive down to downtown Salt Lake City, depending upon the traffic. You're going to have a lot of services there. You're going to have big libraries. You're going to have public transportation nearby, bus systems, and everything else. Nevertheless, we're looking at something that's costing some money, because I remember on this, on the details, we saw that they're paying, the taxes are almost $200 a month. Let's look at some other areas. What if we go up to the Denver area, go to coloradoforeclosures.com, did a search here for properties between $350,000 and $375,000, the sales price, And here's a property listed in Denver that has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's 1,500 square feet on 0.15 acres. Maybe we should make this bigger so you can see it. It's on 0.15 acres, built in 1941. Anyway, they're asking $350,000 for it. Let's look at some of the details on this. This is active. It's been on the market for 7 days. We'll assume that it's probably listed somewhere near what it's going to sell for. It's got a, let's look at this a little bit closer here. But it's got a 1-car garage. And what else do we know about it? Let's look at the property taxes, because that's really what we were trying to take a look at. My goodness, the taxes are $1,400 a year. So this is a little over $100 a month, but it's a lot less than the, $2,300 or nearly $2,200 a month of that other property in Salt Lake City. What does that tell us? Well, either they've got things assessed wrong, which is frequently the case, but one thing that's probably a little bit more probable and is that the taxes are higher for that. They're definitely a lot higher, got a higher tax levy in Salt Lake City than you are over here in Denver. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but maybe that would explain why, as I've been looking at things, I have been seeing the days on the market increasing in Salt Lake City, and they may not be increasing quite so much in Denver as they are in Salt Lake City. But not everyone's anxious to be paying such a high tax rate on a property that's worth around $350,000, or that's going to likely sell for or cost around $350,000. Denver's got a lot of the same, if not even better, services for people than Salt Lake City does, but they're paying more in Salt Lake City, at least on that property, for taxes than they are in Colorado, up in Denver, Colorado. But we're going to jump over and look at something else. If you go out to a rural area, now this is a great little town called Beque. It has a whopping population of about 500 people. Look at all those horses they just had there. That's because Beque, there's the old town, but they have wild horse days. They've got wild horses somewhat nearby, wild mustangs, real wild mustangs, so people go out there to see if they can see some of those horses out west of town. There's other places there in Colorado too, but Beque is known for having areas where some of those wild horses still exist. So they have wild horse days in August, and right now things are greening up out there, and like I said, there's around 500 people that live out there. But we're going to take a look at a few things, and in particular, let's look at a property that actually belongs to somebody that I know, and his name is Eric Mosier, and his property's out in a place in Mesa County, just outside of the town of Beque. So the town of Beque, I'm going to zoom in just out a little bit. That was a lot. Let me see if I can zoom in there a little better. So the town of Beque is right here, and he's just over, across the bridge of the Colorado River. And I'm going to see if we can't go in. Well, don't know if it's going to show me quite what I want, but we're going to zoom in. And this little town of Beque is in a rural area. There's not anywhere near the services that you're going to have in downtown Denver or Salt Lake. But he has a property here that sits on several acres. Let's jump over here and look at this. So this property that belongs to Eric actually has, and this is out at 4557 W Road. Look at this. It sits on, I'm going to zoom in just a little if I can so you can see this. But this property sits on nearly 7 acres, 6.96 acres. And it's just outside of town, so it's got the conveniences of going across the bridge of the Colorado River into town. It's just a mile away into town here, and can go over there, and there's not a great big public library. There's no bus systems. There's a school that has kids going all the way from kindergarten up through high school. And they've actually got, I think they've got that divided now into two schools, but they're all right there on the same property and probably share the same library. I've been in there to the library before. I don't know if they've changed that anytime recently. But because he's across the bridge just outside of town, he doesn't have quite the conveniences that they do there in town. He's got to walk downtown if he wants to go to a store. But Eric, well, he has some real advantages out there in a semi-rural area, and we're going to see if we can't get in there and look at and see what some of those are. So here's his property, and if we zoom in there and take a look at his property, sadly this is taken during the brown time of year, but there's a lot of green growth out there, pastures, alfalfa fields. It's beautiful. He's got a wonderful home here. He's got a great big heated shop. He's got some chicken coops and things. And let's take a look and see what his taxes are. His taxes for this next year, it looks like, are going to be $452. Well, what's this property worth? Well, I don't know exactly what it's worth, but I know that this sold a year and a half ago for $345,000. It's probably worth a lot more now because values out there have been going up. Now let's see. Let's suppose that his property is worth, let's suppose it really increased in the last year and a half, and maybe it's worth $450,000. And he's paying how much for the taxes? He's going to be paying $452. Wow, that's like 1/10 of 1%. Why would that be? Well, one, he's outside the town of Beque, but he's also out in a rural area. Even Beque is a small town. And one really neat thing about Beque, this wonderful little town of Beque that's managed by people that have to face the taxpayers every day, is that this little town has a number of people working there, and I wish we had pictures of them. We've got a town manager named Lance, and another gal named Diane, and another gal named Shirley, and got a marshal named Bob. But these are people that make things go in Beque. But Beque does something really neat. I'm going to jump over here, they send out a newsletter every month to the people that are paying money for water, and like Eric and other people. But they send out with this newsletter all the money they're spending. They actually have something that we need in all governments, and that's transparency. You can look here and find out that back on March 15th, that Jerry Alvear was paid $155 for something that the town needed his services. They actually, let's jump in here a little closer, they paid a bill for the employees of the town to Verizon, and that bill, if we look right here, was $1,105.32. But they're not afraid to let the people see it and make it easily accessible. They actually mail out a letter because they're a small town and show people what's been paid. What else did they pay for? Let's see, they paid CenturyLink, look at that, for the phones in town right there. It looks like they paid $90.94. And if we move a little further down, we might see some big expenses. Look at this, Evoqua, if that's how you say it, Evoqua Water Technologies. Look at that, Evoqua Water Technologies was paid $19,200. What about, look at this, Grand Junction Pipe Supply was paid $306.67. Grand Valley Power, the power bill for the city there, $208.92. It's not a big town, there's no doubt about it, but they have transparency. Kudos to the town of Beque and the people that are making things happen there and serving the people of the Beque town and community. There's a post office there. It looks like they had to spend $225 mailing things out at the post office. But they're showing us that because they've got a policy of being transparent for people to see how much has been spent. Now, actually, here's another energy, XL Energy, and maybe that's to keep things heated, fire station, everything else. I really don't know for sure, but it looks like they've paid $4,429 out to XL Energy for something. AT&T Mobility, another $284, and here's another bill for CenturyLink, $162. Nevertheless, we can look down this and we can see how much they've paid out for different things. And if there's people that they're paying, there's usually some accountability. They're showing the town how much they paid out. They paid Dave Stewart $30 for something. Don't know exactly what that was, but they've got several pages here. And if we go down further, we're going to see, oh, the Beque Country Store was paid $652 for something or things that they needed there. What else have we got? John Deere Financial, for whatever reason, they paid them $69.90. Public Agency Training Council, $350. What other things? Western Implement, there's a place I've bought things. They had to pay $319 to them for something. And let's see if we got another page here. Aha! Look at this. Are they not showing the people working for the town anymore? I think they certainly have been in the past to show how much we're paying those folks. And nevertheless, they're showing what they're paying for and how much they're paying. Now, as you can see, it looks like the town of Beque spent last month, ground totals of $108,000. Needless to say, they're probably got a budget that's altogether, coming up over $1 million a year. But that's the money that they spent. Let's look at something else, and this is something that can be a little bit disturbing. But the state of Utah had a site called utahsright.com. Now, I don't know really who put this up. Uh-oh, that's not there anymore. utahsright.com is now for sale. Really, really sad, because they did have a site up and called Utah's Right, and I'm just going to type in Utah's Right to know, because they had that site up called Utah's Right. I thought it was utahsright.com. And oh, look at this, utahsright.com. What does it say? Utah's rights. Oh, maybe I did Utah Right. Utahsright.com. Utahsright.com is no longer operating. Well, why on earth isn't it? That was a wonderful site that a lot of us became aware of. And we found out that we could look there and see where the state of Utah was spending money. In fact, a lot of people were looking up, and I looked up and found out that there were 2 teachers that I'd actually gone to church with, and found out that the state of Utah paid out, if you can imagine this, $130,000 for each of those teachers. Now, granted, one of those teachers was embarrassed when I mentioned it to him and said, well, that's for all their wages, their salaries, and benefits. And but he was one of the top 30 teachers paid in the state of Utah. People were finding things out. They were looking up and finding out that there were police officers, chiefs of police, and they saw how much was being paid out. They found that a lot of those people were double dipping. For example, there was a building inspector that I knew that retired at age 37 with 30 years, he said, with one of the municipalities. I just spoke with him the other day, and he told me that he was double dipping, that he was doing work for another city now for the last 17 years. And who knows how much he's getting paid there, but it looks like he's working, getting all that money, and may end up getting a double retirement. There's a lot of this stuff that goes on. I spoke with a school assistant administrator who's retired now. He's a year older than myself, and I think he was 57 years old. and has a retirement of around $65,000 a year. He'd been making around $90,000 a year. He was an assistant administrator. Now he's working for another company and getting money that is also going to a contractor and then coming to him. So there's a lot of this stuff that goes on, and people, the citizens, just need to be aware because we want to see our taxes lower. And we look at Colorado, the city of Denver. I guess they're doing a fair job. And the Salt Lake City, where we would have expected things to be a little bit more conservative, all I know is that the taxes that are showing for this property on Honeycutt Road seem to be pretty doggone high for a $350,000 property to have those taxes again, $2,280. That's nearly $200 a month. Not too, that doesn't sound too great to me. I don't know that I'd want to be paying those kind of property taxes, but the truth is, I'm paying a lot more than I want to pay and have been for places that I've owned before. And then there are little towns like the town of Beque where they don't have a tremendous amount of services, but they've got accountability. And the town of Beque, you're doing a better job than most at living within their means, being fair to the people that are paying the taxes, and keeping those taxes down. Beque, Colorado is probably one of the better places in the nation right now if you want to go and buy some property and not be paying a whole heck of a lot in taxes. Now Eric's one of these smart guys that went just a few years ago, bought himself a little, shall I say, a nice farmhouse, a very nice home with a shop, and I'm sure he's still paying more taxes than he'd like, but the town of Beque is keeping track of things. Shirley, Diane, Lance, and Bob, they're all working for the town of Beque, for the people, and not afraid to have some accountability. Anyway, what a great place. Congratulations to the town of Beque, one of the places in the nation that has reasonable taxes that are what we want them to be. Keep on electing people that are demanding accountability and hiring people, the town of Beque, that care about their fellow men. We appreciate that very much. What we need to see, and I believe this is the answer for government, is to be accountable, to have transparency. I think it would be wonderful if we could go in and go to a website, click on any checks that have been made out and money that's been spent, and see exactly where that's going and exactly what it's for. We need to move in that direction. This is Rod. Live within your means, and kudos to the town of Beque. Have a good day.